I always say that everybody should have their own NAS at home. They should have their own server. They should have all their files under their own control at home. But let's face it, a lot of the people watching this channel, they're nerds and they're okay with nerdier stuff, servers, doing all this kind of stuff at home. For when it comes to just people who are more focused on creativity or running a home business or whatever, just people who have a lot of files and want to chill and watch videos and stuff, well, a lot of times they don't want to get into the nerdier elements. So Ugreen has simplified everything. We now have the DH4300 Plus, and this is the easiest to use NAS that I've ever seen right out of the box. So right now I implore all of you to finally take control of all your data and stop wasting money on all these expensive cloud services. You can actually save money while improving your speeds, improving your storage, and improving your security just by grabbing a NAS and keeping everything at home. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. I'm going to show you a few apps and just show you the operating system that the Ugreen NAS uses. And I'll also open up the phone and just show you how easy it is to connect and control everything right here with your phone. So this is the DH4300 Plus. It's a 4-bay NAS unit. It'll hold up to 120 terabytes. If you want a ton of storage, you can do that. Now this is also extremely low power because it is ARM based. We're talking like probably cost you less than $1 a month to run this. Ugreen's also given us a 20% off coupon. So say thanks to them and then head down to the description. You'll see the 20% off coupon and a link to the product right down there. So we'll quickly go through the specs and then I'll talk about the physical unit and how easy it is to get everything set up. So we have an 8-core ARM processor up to 2.4 gigahertz on that one, 8 gigabytes of DDR4. Oh, by the way, it's the Rockchip RK3588. Let's go through all the ports. So on the front, we've got USB-C. It's USB 3.2 Gen 1. Flip it around to the back. There we have HDMI. We have 2 more USB Type A. Those are USB 3.2 Gen 1. Then we have a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, and that'll top out around 300, 310-ish. I usually get about 250 with most of the stuff that I'm doing. Note that I found that the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port is fast enough to edit 4K video. We got 4 SATA bays. We have an internal memory that's 32 gigabytes. And you can install other operating systems. So if you want to get nerdy and use this for something else, by all means, I recommend keeping the Ugreen OS on there for most people. It supports all the varieties of RAID that you would expect for a 4-bay NAS, everything from JBOD basic RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 6, and RAID 10. I'll tell you which one is going to be best for your use case. So I'm going to be running 4 of these Western Digital RAID Plus drives. The NAS drives are generally just designed for more constant use. So I would always recommend grabbing drives that are rated for NAS. If you're curious as to which drives are compatible, well, there's a handy compatibility list and I'll link this below. You just go over to Ugreen's website, select your product, which in this case it's the 4300 Plus right there, and then select what you're looking for hard drives. These are all of the drives that they have tested and certified to work. So pretty much all of the Seagate Iron Wolves and Iron Wolf Pros have been tested. And then if we turn to the next page, you can see that the Western Digital RAID drives, like the ones I'm testing right now, have been certified to work. It'll work with pretty much any drive, but those are the ones that they absolutely have tested and know work. So in order to install these, it's really simple. The top pops off, and then you can see we just have our 4 bays right there. And these are all sleds. You just pull out each sled and you set your hard drive in there. You cannot mess this up. It's very easy. There are 4 screw holes that line up with the screw holes in the hard drive. Put that in, and then they're numbered. You slide them right back into the case. The SATA connectors connect on the bottom, and you put the lid on. You're done. That's it. Now we just need to plug this in and we can get going. There's something else I wanted to show you. So someone over on Reddit, and I want to say thanks to them, Cookie Delivery, yes. They put together this very comprehensive list of all the different cloud services and all the different prices. And you can see here, just for a lot of people use the top ones, OneDrive and Google Drive or whatever, 5 terabytes, 240, these are euros actually. So even more than that per year. So that adds up very quickly. What I'm trying to tell you right now, you're going to have way more storage. It's going to be under your control, not on someone else's computer. Remember, that's what the cloud is. It's someone else's computer. It'll be on your computer with your security, all your personal files. You have them and you can choose whom to share them with. 10 times as much storage depending on the hard drives you put into this, and you're not paying monthly anymore. You buy this one time, within like a year or so, it's going to have paid for itself over and over. And plus, the stuff that you can do with this is so far beyond what you can do with something that's on the cloud. That's just really for storage. It's too slow to watch videos from and all that. So let's dive into the operating system and see all the cool things that you can do now that you have your own NAS. Getting this set up is really easy. You just grab the software on Ugreen's website. I'll put a link for that down below. Or check this out. If you have NFC on your phone, just hold it up to the front of the NAS for a few seconds. And if you don't have the app installed, it'll pop up and tell you, hey, install the app. So then you can install the app, and then every time you want to log in, all you have to do is just hold your phone up right in front of the NAS, and it'll pop up and say, hey, do you want to log in? So you can set it to auto log in if you want to as well. I'm going to put in my password, and then you can go through the entire process on your phone. But I'm going to go through that process on the computer. But just note, it's going to be exactly the same on your phone, so you can follow it either way. If you don't have NFC, but you still want to use your phone, well, after you download the app on your computer, just install it, and then you'll have an option to scan a QR code to connect to your NAS. You know, using this NAS is like the opposite of playing Silksong because they've removed every point of friction to make everything nice and easy for you. Right here, you can also decide if you want to link an email address. This is something I would highly recommend, and you don't have to share this email address with Ugreen. This is just for you. You'll get health notifications from the NAS. You'll get notifications when, events happen. That way you can stay on top of things and make sure that your NAS is always healthy. Then you just sit back and let it install, and then you'll be here. So we're going to go ahead and create a storage pool. You don't have to, go find it. It tells you right out of the gate, right here's where you need to go and set up your storage pool. So there's all my hard drives. And we're going to, select all these hard drives and create ourselves a storage pool. And we have some different RAID options here. We're going to go with the recommended RAID option. I'm not going to mess around with RAID 0 and RAID 1 because they're too dangerous. Even though RAID 0 is fast, it's dangerous. And then RAID 1 can be dangerous as well because if you lose data, you may not be able to recover it. However, with RAID 5, you get 3 disks worth of storage and 1 disk worth of parity. Like what I have here, I've got 16 total terabytes with the 4 terabyte drives. I'll be able to use 12 terabytes and 4 terabytes of that will be parity. So I'll be able to lose up to 1 disk without any issues. And then I just replace that 1 disk with a new one and it'll be just fine. So if you want even more data security, you can do RAID 6. With RAID 6, you're going to get 2 drives worth of storage and 2 drives worth of parity. So for me, that would be 8 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigabytes of parity. You can lose up to 2 drives. I usually like doing this on larger NAS units, but for what we're doing here at home, as long as you get those notifications and stuff, you can stay on top of it and swap out your drive. I think RAID 5 is a really good compromise, very good way to go. And I'm going to enable hard drive test. There we go. It can reduce errors, and I just, I'm okay with a little bit of that because these ARM processors are no slouches. All right, so now our file system. ext4 is kind of the standard when it comes to Linux, but BTRFS, some people call it ButterFS, which I do. Now this supports snapshotting and shadow copy and all this kind of stuff. It also can do deduplication. If these words don't mean anything to you, just note that this one will allow you to enable snapshots and go back in time and be like, oh, this file last week, that's when I need it. And you can go back and grab that. So this one's a little bit better if you want all these advanced journaling features. So I'm going to use that one. And now I'm just going to click create. All right, now this is going to format all these hard drives, but I'm okay with that because these are new hard drives. If you're using some older hard drives or whatever, just note that you need to get all the data off those drives before you do this. So click format, asking for your password because this is serious. All right, now we just wait a second. All right, that did not take long at all, just a matter of seconds. Now we have a volume, volume 1, storage pool created. There's our volume right there. And we're going to set up some shares. It already has a few things like your personal folder and stuff, but let's go ahead and set up some share folders so we can do stuff. It's telling you what to do. It's very, very streamlined and easy to use. So just going to click on next right here, and I'm going to create a shared folder. We're going to do a new shared folder. I'm going to do one called media, where I'll put all kinds of fun media. And then you can pick your volume. It's just volume 1. I'm going to enable the recycle bin. It works a little differently compared to like a desktop operating system. Whenever you delete something, it actually just moves it into a folder called the recycle bin. When you want to get rid of that stuff, you can come in here and empty your recycle bin or just delete it from that recycle bin folder that's on your NAS. And I'm going to let that be admin only. In case we have other users using this, I don't want them to delete things in the recycle bin. I'll do that. Let's do one more. And I'll do one for work. We'll just call it tech, because that's what I'm doing for this work. Let's say you want to find these folders and map them. Well, we can do that easily. So we need to know our IP address. So the easiest way to do that is to click on the control panel and then click on network and then click on network connection. And right there is our IP address. So if we want to get to this and map a network drive, just press the Windows key R. So you start off with whack whack, which is / and then put in your IP address. And you might also have to do this. Click on file service, enable the SMB service. There we go, work group. This is for Windows. NSF is for Linux. And then you have FTP and rsync and everything else. But yeah, I'm just going to use the SMB because Linux can also use that really well. Now we try it again. And then when you put in your IP again, it'll ask for your credentials. So I'm just going to use my admin account, but you can use whatever account you set up. And look, there we go. Now that we enabled the SMB, we can see it on Windows. So you can start mapping these drives. Let's say you want to map this one, just right click on it, click on Map Network Drive, and let's see what we've got here. Let's do Q. There we go, sure. Now on my Windows machine, Q is my network drive. So let's put some media in here, why don't we? They've conveniently bundled 5 things called the NAS Common Software. You get sync and backup photos, music, theater, and cloud drives. I'll go ahead and grab all that and just let that install. If you're someone who really likes movies, I recommend Jellyfin, and I've made tutorials on this in the past. I'll link my Jellyfin tutorial below. There we go, put it on volume 1 and Docker. There we go, next. Okay, I'm gonna give it access here. And wherever else you have movies, you might want to add the resource folder. These are the folders that it's going to have access to. So you want to make sure I've got user folder as well with some movies in it. But I'm just going to use the media folder. But yeah, make sure you give it access right here. If you're using ButterFS, you can install File Version Explorer, and this will allow you to easily roll back to older versions of files. This is just a regular desktop. Think of this as just any old desktop operating system, but it's really simple. And if you drop all your photos into your photo files and stuff, if we click on Tools and then click on Search for similar duplicate photos, we could turn that on. And then we have all this intelligence stuff. We could say, oh, okay, search for duplicate photos, enable this model. These are just little AI models that look through your stuff. They're not selling any of your stuff to the third-party vendors. They're not putting any of your stuff online, and they're not using any of your stuff for training. This is just stuff that's running right here locally that looks at your files and says, okay, do I recognize any people? Do I recognize any text? And it just allows you to smartly organize your photos based upon all this criteria. The AI can also help when it comes to the search. I wonder if I type, let's see how crazy it'll get. Oh my God. I typed Marilyn. Seriously? I typed Marilyn. I didn't type Marilyn Monroe. I didn't type people. I didn't type hair or whatever. I just typed Marilyn. That's kind of impressive. Some pictures of my friend who looks a lot like somebody. I don't know, looks a lot like somebody famous from back in the day. So we had some fun running around with one of my fancy cameras and taking some classic looking pictures. Okay, Ugreen, you got me. I didn't expect that. I expected it to not work. But yeah, the Photos app is just easy to use, and it's a nice way to organize your stuff. Now let's say I took a picture of this really cool jellyfish in the Osaka aquarium, and I want to send that to somebody. Well, if I just click over here on More, click on Share, then you can do public sharing, which is on the internet. No password. Allow people to download it if you want to, or you could, generate a password for people and be like, you have to have this password, secret stuff. I'm gonna say no password, and then share this picture of the jellyfish right there. And that is the link that we've got. We just give this to our friends, and it's just like giving somebody a Dropbox link or whatever else. That easy. So and this is what they're going to see. It'll connect. I could check this out and be like, wow, I want to go to that aquarium myself. So it's really, really easy to use. If you can use Dropbox and Google Drive and OneDrive, then you can use this, and it's your own. So above and beyond that, you can come over to the App Store and you can get the Videos app, which, was called Theater. So I've got like a folder full of anime and a folder full of just movies and stuff. And I can come over here and click. There's all my episodes, and I can watch them right here. And we have options down here for, whatever we have. We can skip intro, outro. We've got our audio track that I can change depending on, the media that you have. You can control all of that stuff. And it's pretty quick. You can access this over the web or whatever, as long as your connection is quick. You can access it over the local network, and it works just fine. Joe Scirocco is hilarious, by the way. Halt and Catch Fire, this is my favorite show pretty much of all time. There we go. And it works just fine. Nice clean shave, Gordon. So that's cool and all, but let's say you want to watch some of these back on your main TV and you don't have a dedicated computer in the living room. Well, if you just take your Ugreen, hook it up in the living room, plug up the HDMI to your screen, then you can open up the app here and use this as your remote to play your video files. There we go, this is my library right here. I don't currently have the HDMI hooked up, but it's easy to do. So they also have Jellyfin, and that's available in the App Store. I really like using Jellyfin. You can set this up on all your devices. Here we go. If you want to watch Michiko and Hatchin, you can do that. So this can play back right in your browser, but I highly recommend using the Jellyfin app. on your devices, and this will just set up. You just tell it here, this is where you go. Grab your IP address, that's where your Jellyfin installation is. And now, instead of using Netflix and letting them have all of your data and all of your money, you can host your own version of Netflix or your own version of Amazon Prime Video. This is the way of the future because all of these services are locking things down. These services are taking away movies that you purchased. So this is what I do to get around that. I host my own files on my own site. So yeah. It's funny, there's so many people out there complaining about how anime is getting dumbed down and all that stuff, and then I mention shows like Kowloon Generic Romance, and they're like, I don't know, never seen it, never heard of it. And I'm like, well, stop complaining and go watch it. Next up, let's talk about syncing things up and backing things up a little bit. So we've got our sync and backup application right here that comes when you install that, suite of different things. I'm using the browser right now, but this is the software. This is the desktop software. Now check it out. If I click on sync and backup, click on sync, create task. Now I can sync this computer right there. We go. And we can just say the path on our computer. Okay. We can say, okay, which path do we want to back up? Maybe I want to back up my videos folder right here. So I'm going to say, okay, videos folder, select, and then you just pick your path on your Ugreen NAS. Since most of those videos are Tech Syndicate, I'm going to go over here to Tech. There we go. And now we can sync it two ways, meaning that whenever I make a change on this, it'll reflect here. And whenever I make a change on the NAS, it'll reflect here. Or we can say, no, I only want stuff to go from my computer to the NAS. Any changes I make on the NAS won't affect my computer. You can do any of these things, but it's really easy to do this backup. So real-time sync is the safest. It makes sure that things are always going. Manual sync is also good for certain people. After you make a few changes, you just do a manual sync and then it syncs up to the NAS. So it's up to you the way you want to do that. The other way to back things up is by using cloud drives. So let's do a new connection here. And you can see we've got all kinds of options, including everything from Baidu to Microsoft to Google Drive. So let's say you want to do, I don't know, OneDrive or Google Drive. Maybe you've got a free Google Drive that doesn't have much and you just want to sync up some documents. You can easily do that, or Microsoft OneDrive or whatever. It'll just go through the process and sync up a folder. There's a lot of sensitive data there. I'm not going to give away my email addresses and stuff, so we'll leave that alone. But it's very easy to set up your sync and backups that way. I've got a gazillion problems with Spotify, and it's not just because it's bad for artists like me who make music, but it's also bad for people like you because it gets you trained to rely on their playlists, and it kind of pulls you away from the artist that made you love music in the first place. Above and beyond that, did you know that Spotify has been going back, taking old music and modifying it? They actually auto-tuned Freddie Mercury's voice, because they didn't think that modern people who listen to their stupid Spotify playlists, they didn't think they could appreciate the natural tone and vibrato of a real voice. You do not mess with Freddie Mercury's voice. So you can run your own music service right here. And you just put everything on the hard drive, map it up, and this is accessible anywhere. You can open this up on your phone while you're out and about, and now you've got your own version of Spotify. And we can listen to our Dungeon Synth or whatever else. Just put your stuff on here instead. You can browse by genres and artists. And I think this is a pretty mature app for just, how new it all is. If you want special weird formats like video game formats and stuff, you're probably a bigger nerd than this because it doesn't work with a lot of my PlayStation and Super Nintendo original file formats and whatever. But just your standard formats are going to work just fine, like OGG Vorbis, MP3, AAC, MP4, those are all going to work just fine. Even the waves and the FLAC files are going to be just fine with this application. So it's pretty cool. My only thing that I would like to tell Ugreen is please give us dark mode, but it's not that big of a deal because I'm listening, not watching. So yeah, it's whatever. Oh, that's cool. When did they put this in there? Have I seen this before? That's cool, the little record player thing. All right, I'm done goofing off with that. When it comes to security, we got a couple different options here. I'll show you the security app first. Just go over to the App Center and type security. Press enter, and then you'll see the security utility. I've already installed this, so I can just open it up. Now, this is basically an antivirus, so you can set up real-time protection, and it's just a basic antivirus that's right here running on the NAS to make sure that all your files are safe. There we go. When suspicious files are found, move to quarantine. There we go. And we can say when suspicious files are found, let's notify somebody. Let's notify the person who created it. Let's notify the administrators, whomever else. Then click on save, and now you've got protection going on. If you want to get under the hood and see what kind of security we have here, oh, there's an update. I'll do that after we're done here. So just click on security here inside your control panel, and then you can go through and say how many, login attempts people can have before they get locked out. So if someone tries, I don't know, let's say they try 5 times in 5 minutes, okay, it'll block their IP. And then you'll have to get on your physical computer or your computer that's on the network, log in, come in here and see which IPs have been blocked and unblock them if you want to, or keep them blocked, Under the account security, I would recommend that you turn on 2FA. Firewall, you can turn this on and then set up rules. This goes a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but you can say, hey, this LAN port, you can basically have certain rules for different things going on with your firewall. And then when it comes to your certificates, you can set those up if you're going to be running some custom DNS or something. If you don't know what this means, then it's probably not a big deal to you, but just know that you can come over here and add your own certificates if you wanted to do like full-on edge certs and stuff. You can do all that right here. All right, so for the nerds out there who are looking at this and thinking, okay, that's a lot of stuff because, this has better specs than some of the professional units from other companies that don't even have a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. So I know some people are looking at this and being like, okay, that's a really good price for something that has 4 bays. I can put a lot of stuff in there, but can I do VMs and stuff? Well, you're not going to be running like full-on VMs on this since it's an ARM-based processor, but you can get most of that functionality here with Docker. And if you just get if you're someone who doesn't know anything about this and it's over your head, don't worry, it's really easy. You don't have to run any of this stuff. It's got your stuff that's already running here. This was installed by default when I installed Jellyfin, but we can also come up here and create things. You can drop your Docker Compose YAML right down here. You can import stuff. It's pretty easy to do, but it does require a little bit of nerdery. We've got a bunch of images here that we can look through. Some Linux stuff going on here, like Qubit Torrent. You can just scroll through. We've got MB servers, Ubuntu right here. You can install a Docker-based version of Ubuntu right here on this. So you got your image database right here that you can just scroll through all kinds of things. You can get, Nginx up and running. You can get Pi-hole up and running, all very easily on this device. And that 8-core is enough for Pi-hole. So you can run your own DNS server on this while also getting all the benefits of the, the security, maintaining your own cloud, having all your own files. So it's kind of a no-brainer, and I don't understand why everyone doesn't do this. I don't know. Please use your own NAS. I feel like there's no excuse anymore. This is just so easy. I was going to make like tutorial videos and stuff, but it's so easy. It's like I feel like a tutorial would be patronizing and silly because it just works. It's like turning on a regular desktop computer these days, or using an Android or an iOS device. You just install your apps and use them, and it works. And Ugreen's done a very good job of making all of this so seamless. If you want something nerdier that has a little bit more power and can do some VMs and everything, well, they can do that. Just get the DX4300 Plus, and you could do a little bit more. It also has the slots for M.2. For most people, I think this is completely fine. Yeah, thanks very much, Ugreen, for sending this over. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.